Can you turn your idea into a working product without writing a single line of code? I'm here to tell you that it's not only possible, but it's often smarter than the traditional path. But that doesn't mean no code is always the answer. Let's break down when to go no code and when to bring in the traditional devs. I'm the founder of No Code MBA, a learning platform where you can learn to build apps, websites, and automations taught by top experts. Check the link in the description to learn more. First, let's talk about some of the reasons that you might want to use no code as a founder. First is validation. No code allows you to test your core idea without a huge upfront investment. You'll find out if people are willing to pay for your idea much more quickly, which is one of the most important things to figure out if you're starting a business. Next is flexibility. Early stage pivots are really common with startups, and no code allows you to adjust much more quickly than managing the back and forth with a developer. So if you're building your project on your own, you get feedback from a customer, you can make that change yourself without having to work with someone else. Next is time to market. So generally, no code is going to bring you to market significantly faster, so you don't waste time and money building a product that nobody wants. No one wants to spend a year, with developers building a product, and then it turns out that customers don't actually want that product. So next is money. Hiring a developer is really expensive, and developers cost a lot of money. And if you're not a developer yourself, it's actually really easy to hire the wrong person or agency because you don't know what to look for when you're hiring a developer for your product. So you could end up with a product that you don't want that costs tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially, depending on how complex and long your project is. Now let's talk about when hiring a developer might make sense for you. So let's say software is your core differentiator for your product. Maybe it's using complex AI algorithms that you can't use a simple API call for and connect to OpenAI, for example. Maybe it's a hardware-related idea, something that no code isn't going to be able to build. So if you have an idea like this, where it's a little bit more technical, the whole product is kind of innovating on technology, then for that you might need a developer who can build something that off-the-shelf no-code tools aren't going to be able to replicate. Another thing to consider is scaling up. So this is something a lot of people are concerned about with no code. No code can handle a lot, but sometimes it might have limits on handling massive amounts of data. So this kind of relates also to the first point where if you're doing something really technical or innovating on technology, no code might not be the best fit. But something to remember is there are a lot of really successful companies that are built with no code and have scaled with no code. One example is Dividend Finance, who's raised $365 million from investors. That's built with Bubble. Something else to be aware of and try not to do is to not over-optimize before you have users. This is something that a lot of founders get wrong, I find, when they're starting a business. So, you don't have to worry about if your app is going to scale once you have 1 million users on it if you don't have any users on it at all. For some reason, you do need to switch to code for scaling reasons later on. At that point, you're going to be making a lot of money, and that is a really good problem to have. And if you kind of wasted all your time building something that's over-optimized and can scale to 1 million users, you might never get that first user. Lastly is owning the code. Some no-code platforms like Bubble often hide the code, and you can't export it and use that same code with a developer later on. There are some no-code platforms like Flutterflow that do let you export the code, but if the actual code is really important to you, then going with code might make more sense than no code. Another option is the middle ground between code and no code. One way to do this is to prototype with no code, validate interest, and then bring in a dev later on to build the more robust version. I think this is a great path for a lot of people. Build the prototype on your own, get your first users, then maybe you want to raise money, hire a team, and build out something a little bit more complex. Another option is hiring a no-code agency to build the product for you. Doing this is going to cost significantly less than working with a traditional development agency or hiring developers. It's going to take a lot less time as well, and you're going to have a product that you can test the market with. And kind of similarly, maybe you want to scale with the product that you have now if you have customers, or at that point, maybe once you've validated the idea, you've raised some money, then you can bring in traditional developers if that's necessary for you. So hopefully this is a good overview of code versus no code and what are the benefits of each option. If no code intrigues you, check out No Code MBA, where I bring in top experts to teach the most popular no code platforms like Webflow, Glide, Bubble, Flutterflow, building with AI, and more. Let me know in the comments whether you think code or no code is the way to go or what you're using for your project. And of course, like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future.